Okay, it's true that I work from home, and my haircut is currently like Mo from the Three Stooges, and I spend a lot of time in my bedroom. Those two things aren't related. I'm just noticing that my hair and the background are recurring situations. Anyway, I wanted to say good morning, and I wanted to get a little glimpse of Cooper here, who we call Fatty. Um, because he and I are canaries. I have always been overly sensitive to sensory input, sensitive to just harshness. And when I say I'm sensitive and fragile, I do not mean to indicate that I cruise through this world like, you know, Tinkerbell or ballerina, being kind and gentle and sweet. I was not. I didn't, it wasn't natural. It wasn't modeled for me. I was harsh and rough. But I was so deeply affected by the home that I grew up in. It was rough, and I was always sick at family occasions. I was always vomiting. Just that's my natural reaction to stress, is just to throw up. I was just a canary, and my throwing up and my crying and my inability to articulate, like, hey, you guys, this hurts. I made a lot of trouble for myself by being so sensitive. And I felt a lot of shame about that. Like, I was ashamed about how much I hurt, and then I would panic because I knew that if I became afraid or uncomfortable that I was going to get in trouble. And, I can't tell you how many times I was told to lighten up, or better yet, just go to hell. I was sitting on the couch recently with my boyfriend, and I asked him, I'm like, did the words go to hell and goddamn you go out of style? And he was like, Maggie, those words were never in style. And I'm like, really? And he says, who said that? Whoever says those things? And I was like, my mom did, like, all the time. I just thought, like, and then I did all the time. I took that out into the world. God damn you, go to hell. I thought that's what people said when they were upset, right? So anyway, I am a canary, and my dog is a canary, and I have observed that he began having seizures, no seizures and no health problems for the first 4.5 years we had him. And when I got the information about my mother and her health and my plan to move here 2 years ago in May, he began having seizures weekly, and then they escalated. They became daily, sometimes several times a day, and he'd never had them before, but every day I was worrying, I was panicking, I was crying because my mother was maybe dying, and that was very scary to me. And what was just as scary is that I was about to pack up and move across the country to show up and provide access to my children, to the two people who I really had wanted to protect them from. We were in a state of no contact because the contact that we have I find to be too harmful. I didn't want my children exposed to it. And so I'm panicking every day because I want to go home and I want to serve my mother. I want to show up. I want to be of service. I want to help with those doctor's appointments. And I want to share my children because I think that's what I can offer to aid in her recovery. But the threat of that was just immense. And it was on my mind every minute of the day. And he's having seizures. I shipped him to Charlotte 2 weeks before I came out. He didn't have a seizure on the plane. He didn't have a seizure while he was staying with my friend. I got here, loved him up, and the seizures began again. So they continued, daily, if not weekly, for the first 6 months I was here, because I was engaging my mother and sister on a daily basis in the next interaction with these people who no healing has ever taken place between us. That next interaction was really just always a call or a text away, and it was on my mind. I was working full time. I lived with my friend for 2 weeks, taking care of my kids by myself. Then I moved into a condo. Then I bought a home. Then I moved there. And even though I was so busy, I was absolutely obsessed with being so close to the people who I had made great efforts to be really far away from and have no contact with, because I'm a canary, and their brand of love was very painful to me. They didn't do anything wrong. They are just being them, and I am just being me. And the reality is I am wounded by it. So anyway, the engagement continued regularly, daily, weekly, until my mom was pronounced cancer-free a year ago. And then when it was clear that I was no longer needed as much, and our history, which is not our history because we were still doing the same things. And the fractures took center stage again, and I, the canary, started reacting and saying, hey, can we talk? Can we talk? Something doesn't feel right. Tension grew and distance grew, which put more time and space between me and them, and my dog's seizures began to lessen. And then in the summer, my sister developed her own relationship with my ex-husband, who she had no previous relationship with. She's not picking up where she left off when we got divorced, and planned a dinner with him and his sister, and my children and her family, without informing me. And I found out by discovery. And when I asked why, I received an awful email. I mean, it was meant to crush me, and it was sent to everybody who was at that dinner, because, you know, they were all now a collective. And I became obsessed. I was so distraught, and every day I was thinking about it, and, you know, trying not to react or engage, just saying, what can we do? What's the problem? And all I got was more heat. Just for asking the question, for being the canary. Kill the canary, right? So let me back up a little bit. When my dog was having the seizures and I was tired a lot when I was helping with my mom, I'm so tired, I haven't slept, Cooper's having seizures, she generously offered to have him put to sleep for me. She said she would drive him there, pay for it, the whole thing. I wouldn't even have to deal with it. And, you know, I look back now and I'm like, oh, wow. You know, when something's too intense or too much trouble, you can just get rid of it. You can make it go away or destroy it. Really, that's what you do, right? No. It's not what I do. I declined the offer, although I would have done anything to lighten my load. But you know what? He was just reacting to my vibration, no matter that I wasn't engaging them. I was obsessed with how they were affecting my life, because after that dinner with my ex-husband and his sister and my children, co-parenting, which had been, you know, pretty miraculous up until that point, destroyed. You know, he now has been refueled. She reignited all of his anger that, you know, we had a bad marriage and a worse divorce, you know, that anger's there. And now he's got someone who's angry with him. And I know my mother had always taught me, you know, your enemy's enemy is your best friend. Definitely what was going on here. Anyway, the stress of that and dealing with him, the seizures came back, they returned. And the more I thought about it, the more he seized. And we went right into the holiday season where there was a lot of pressure to show up or fuck off. It just didn't feel like much of an invitation. I was welcome to sit at the table, but there would be no resolution. That I think I was told that we could just put down the guns for the holidays so we could sit as a family at the table. And my refusal to do that really was like fuel to the fire for them. And I was consumed with... I wasn't able to come in peace, and I wasn't able to go in peace. I just couldn't find peace. And my dog's having seizures, and I have to just remember that, you know what? He is my little canary. And even though I'm not acting on it, I'm not doing anything, I'm not fighting with them, I'm obsessing about it. And that obsession and that fear and that panic and that resentment, they send a vibration into the world, and it makes my dog have seizures. Who knows what it does to my children and the people who have to deal with me? It's not right. So for today, I know that I'm a canary, and I am good with that. My dog is a canary, and I have to love him harder. He doesn't need more medication. He doesn't need euthanasia. He just, you know, he's going to count on me like my children do to be really mindful about what I let into my heart and my mind and my life. And all I can do is practice healthy boundaries and self-love, love myself extra hard. Because you know what? My children and my dog, they don't belong to me. They've been entrusted to me, and they're a privilege. And my healing and my thinking and my recovery matter more than anything else I do. So I want to show up for my mother. I want to be there for her. I think they're just, I mean, anything short of magic or an open conversation, which would be like magic, they would have some serious healing powers, is the only thing that I know of to keep us all safe and seizure-free and healthy. And I'm just going to do the next right thing. I don't know what that is for today. For today, it's probably shut this down and get busy with my job, be grateful that I have it, and think thoughts that don't cause my dog to have seizures, and think thoughts that allow me to be present and loving and kind for my children.